Beneath the sands of time, beneath centuries of dust and silence, there lies a treasure. Not gold, nor jewels, nor the wealth of kingdoms, but a living word, a divine formula, a hidden key. The ancients called it a prayer, yet it was more than a prayer. It was a spiritual technology, a code of dominion spoken into existence by Solomon, the wisest king. Have you ever felt it, that strange sense that something is missing, that despite your effort, your toil, your long hours, and your striving, a barrier invisible keeps you from the flow of true abundance? You may have asked, why does it feel as though the current of life runs against me, no matter how I row? And perhaps in quiet moments you've wondered, is there something I do not yet know? The truth is this: the treasure has never been lost. It has only been hidden. Not lost, only hidden, waiting for you. Imagine walking along a shore at dawn. The tide has retreated, leaving behind wet sand shells and forgotten fragments of the sea. You bend, and your fingers brush against something smooth, something shaped with intention. You dig, and slowly the sand gives way to reveal a small, shining key, ancient yet untouched by rust. You realize it has been here all along, waiting only for your eyes to see and your hand to claim. So it is with the lost prayer of Solomon, hidden not in books alone, not in temples alone, but hidden within the very fabric of spirit, waiting for the soul who is ready to awaken. It is not lost, only hidden, waiting for you. Florence Scovel Shinn, a woman of radiant clarity and divine conviction, understood this. In the early 20th century, when the world seemed locked in material struggle, she declared boldly that your word is your wand. She knew that every syllable spoken in faith carries the power of creation. And in her teaching, something resurfaced, something ancient, something Solomon himself once spoke into existence. A prayer not of pleading, but of command. Not of fear, but of dominion. For the prayer of Solomon was no ordinary prayer. It was a code, an alignment, a vibration of authority. When spoken in faith, it commanded wealth and peace to appear. And though the centuries tried to bury it, though doubt and fear sought to silence it still, the prayer remained quietly alive, hidden in plain sight, waiting for you. Pause, beloved soul. Let this truth settle. The treasure you have sought, the key to the locked gates of abundance, is not somewhere far away. It is not waiting for you in another lifetime, another land, another body. It is here, now, within reach. And so the journey begins. If you have ever felt this hidden pull, if something inside whispers that you were meant for more, that the invisible current that pushes against you can be reversed, then know this: you are not mistaken. You are hearing the echo of the prayer, the lost treasure calling your name. Not lost, only hidden, waiting for you. If you've ever felt this hidden pull, comment below. I am ready to rediscover the prayer. In the heart of New York City during the early decades of the 20th century, the streets hummed with the sound of ambition and struggle. The world was shifting, machines were rising, fortunes were being made, and yet countless souls remained trapped in cycles of lack, fear, and silent despair. It was into this atmosphere that Florence Scovel Shinn stepped, carrying not the tools of a business tycoon, but the sword of the spirit, the spoken word. Florence was not a preacher in the pulpit, nor a scholar lost in dusty libraries. She was an artist, a metaphysician, a teacher of divine law, whose voice carried a gentleness and yet an authority that broke chains. In her quiet gatherings, she would tell men and women, rich and poor alike, "Your word is your wand. The words you speak shape your world." She knew She declared, she manifested. Her philosophy was not built on vague hope. It was law, spiritual law. Just as the seed, when planted, must by its very nature bring forth after its kind, so too must the words spoken in faith bring forth their likeness in the world. She taught that when one spoke words of complaint, they planted weeds in the garden of life. When one spoke words of faith, wealth, and peace, they planted orchards that would bloom in due season. Think of it, beloved soul, your mouth is a garden gate, and every syllable you release is a seed. Some seeds sprout quickly like weeds after rain. Others, like mighty oaks, take time, but once rooted, they endure through storms and centuries. The question is not whether your words created, is only what they create. Florence illustrated this with stories of ordinary people transformed by the power of the word. One man came to her weary from years of struggle. He worked long hours, yet his pockets were always empty. His conversation was full of sighs of phrases like, "Money slips through my fingers, and I can never get ahead." And so it was his words commanded his world, and his world obeyed. Florence challenged him, "Change your words, and you will change your world." He resisted at first, for the human mind clings to what it sees, even if what it sees is lack. But she insisted, "Speak not what is, but what is divinely true. Say, I walk in abundance, wealth flows freely to me, every bill is paid in divine order." Reluctantly, he began to practice. Each morning, though doubt gnawed at him, he declared, "I am a channel of wealth. I am divinely supplied. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways." At first, nothing seemed to change, but words once planted worked silently beneath the surface. Within weeks, new opportunities opened, an overdue debt was repaid, a promotion arrived, unexpected checks appeared. His life, once barren, became a garden of provision. She knew, she declared, she manifested, and here is the bridge. Solomon too understood this secret. His words carried not only wisdom, but dominion. He did not beg, he decreed. He did not plead, he commanded in alignment with divine law. When Florence spoke of words as wands, she was echoing the ancient truth Solomon embodied, that the word spoken with faith is a rod of authority, a scepter of dominion. Perhaps you have noticed this in your own life. Words spoken in anger seem to cut lingering long after the sound fades. Words spoken in love seem to heal, warming the heart for years. This is no accident. Words are forces, vibrations that shape reality itself. Now imagine if ordinary conversation has such power. How much more powerful is the sacred word spoken in divine alignment? This is the essence of the lost prayer of Solomon. It is not mere recitation, not ritual for ritual's sake. It is the conscious wielding of the creative word, the divine technology of speech that summons wealth, peace, and alignment with God's law. Florence, standing in the bustling, restless energy of her generation, reminded the world of what Solomon once commanded, that words are not empty sounds, but living codes. When you declare, you activate law. When you affirm, you align heaven and earth. When you speak in faith, unseen doors swing open. Pause and reflect. What words are you planting today? Are they weeds of worry or seeds of abundance? Are you rehearsing lack or rehearsing wealth? Do you say, "I never have enough"? Or do you say, "I walk in divine surplus"? Remember this truth that Florence lived and breathed. Your word is your wand. With it, you write the story of your life. And if you believe words carry power, if something within you knows that your tongue is a key, a scepter, a seed, then share this truth so more may awaken. Subscribe to this message, speak it aloud, let it ripple into the world. For as you declare, you not only transform your own life, but you become a beacon for others. For Florence knew, she declared, she manifested, and so shall you. There is a truth we must face with courage and compassion. Most people do not struggle because they are lazy, careless, or unworthy. No, the reason so many souls live with financial strain and endless toil is because of misalignment. Picture this: a man rows a small boat against a strong current. His arms burn, sweat drips from his brow, and the oars creak beneath the pressure. Hours pass, days pass, even years. He tells himself, if only I row harder, perhaps I will reach the shore of abundance. Yet the harder he rows, the further he seems from peace. Why? Because his boat is turned the wrong way. His effort is not the problem, it is his direction. This is the story of so many hearts. Have you not felt it, that gnawing frustration, as if life itself resists you? Bills come faster than money. Opportunities slip away like mist in your hands. You rise early, you work late, yet still the current pushes back. And in the silence of night, you whisper, why does it seem so hard? It is not because you are destined for lack. It is not because abundance has overlooked you. It is because you have been rowing against the river of divine flow. Abundance is not manufactured by sheer effort. It is received by alignment. Think of the river. When you turn your boat with the current, you do not strain. The water itself carries you. Your oars are light, your journey swift, your heart at rest. This is the shift that changes everything from striving against to flowing with. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the law of non-resistance. Resistance births friction, alignment births flow, and misalignment, beloved soul, is the silent thief that blocks abundance. Let us look deeper. Misalignment shows up in many forms. Fear-based words. When you say, I'll never make it, money always slips away. Life is unfair, you decree lack, and the world echoes your decree. Scarcity mindset. When you clutch tightly to every coin, believing there is never enough, you close the channel through which divine supply longs to flow. Self-doubt. When you secretly believe you are undeserving of wealth or peace, you unconsciously sabotage opportunities that come. Disconnection from divine law. When you live as though money is your master instead of seeing spirit as your source, you lose the authority to command abundance. Do you see the pattern? It is not about effort, but alignment. Now pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, am I rowing against the current of my own good? Florence often told the story of a woman who came to her weary with financial burdens. This woman worked tirelessly, yet never had enough to pay her bills. She would say to Florence, I work so hard, but money never stays. It always runs away. Florence answered gently, then that is the law you are setting for yourself. You are rowing against the stream by declaring lack. Instead, align yourself with truth. Say, money comes in perfect ways. I am divinely provided for. There is always a surplus. The woman resisted at first. She thought, how can I say there is surplus when my purse is empty? But Florence reminded her, do not speak what you see. Speak what is divinely true. The invisible always precedes the visible. The spiritual law always comes before the material manifestation. And so reluctantly she began. Each day she declared, I walk in abundance. I am divinely supported. I live in surplus. Weeks passed, and slowly her circumstances began to change. Unexpected income appeared, debts dissolved, new streams of provision opened. She had not worked harder, she had only turned her boat with the current. This is the misalignment that blocks abundance rowing against divine flow, with fear, doubt, and scarcity. But the moment you turn, O beloved soul, the current itself carries you. Do you feel the shift? Can you sense the possibility? The frustration of endless struggle gives way to a dawning hope. What if abundance has always been flowing toward me and I simply needed to align? Yes, that is the revelation. And in this revelation, the chains of striving fall away. You begin to realize abundance is not earned, it is aligned. Peace is not purchased, it is received. Wealth is not chased, it is commanded through divine law. Florence taught that every misalignment is corrected by the power of the word. If your words have been rowing you against the current, you can speak new words that turn you toward the flow. If your beliefs have blocked your good, you can decree new truths that open the gates of supply. And so I ask you if you have ever felt this current pushing against you, if you have rowed until your arms are weary and your spirit tired, then know this, you are not alone. And more importantly, you can turn. You can align. You can allow the river of divine abundance to carry you into peace, into provision, into overflow. If you've ever felt this current pushing against you, share your story in the comments we heal together. Clara had always been a woman of quiet strength. From the outside, her life looked ordinary. She worked diligently, paid her bills as best she could, and smiled politely when others asked how she was doing. Yet behind that smile, there was a story of silent despair. For years, she had struggled with money. No matter how hard she worked, it never seemed enough. Rent notices piled up, creditors called, and each month she found herself gasping just to make it through. She told herself, if only I try harder, if only I sacrifice more, perhaps one day I will be free. But the harder she tried, the heavier her burden became. At night, Clara would sit alone by her small window, staring at the city lights beyond, wondering if life had simply chosen her for hardship. She prayed, but her prayers felt like whispers lost in the wind. She asked God for help, yet nothing seemed to change. And deep in her heart, a question gnawed. Why does it feel as though heaven is silent? One evening, weary and restless, Clara wandered into a small bookstore she had never noticed before. It was tucked away on a quiet street, its wooden door painted with fading blue letters, Truth and Light. Inside, the scent of old paper and sandalwood lingered in the air. She moved between the shelves absent-mindedly until her eyes fell upon a book with a curious title, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. She picked it up, leafed through its pages, and one phrase seemed to leap out at her. Your word is your wand. Something stirred. Clara could not explain it, but she felt as though the book had been waiting for her, quietly calling until she arrived. She bought it and hurried home, clutching it to her chest as though it were treasure. That night, by the soft glow of a single candle, Clara began to read. Florence's words were unlike anything she had ever encountered. They did not speak of begging or pleading, but of commanding and declaring. Florence wrote of divine law of words as seeds of abundance, as a river waiting for alignment. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Could it be? Could it truly be that her prayers had not been ignored, but misdirected? That she had been rowing against the current of her own good? As she turned the pages, she stumbled upon something deeper. Florence's reference to the authority of Solomon, the wisest king, who once spoke a prayer so powerful It aligned heaven and earth. Though Clara did not yet know the full words of this prayer, she felt its presence as though it hovered just beyond the veil, waiting for her to claim it. And so Clara began her experiment. Each night she lit her candle. She would place her hand over her heart and whisper affirmations that trembled with both fear and hope. I walk in divine abundance. I am supplied in every way. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected avenues. I am aligned with the law of prosperity. At first, she felt foolish. The bills on her table seemed to laugh at her. Her purse was still nearly empty. But something within told her to continue. Florence had written, "The invisible always precedes the visible," and Clara clung to that truth like a lifeline. Days turned to weeks. Some nights she wept as she prayed, her tears falling onto the wooden table beside the flickering candle. But still she declared. Still she aligned her words. Still she practiced. And then something shifted. It began with a letter. A small envelope arrived in her mail, unmarked except for her name. Inside was a check money owed to her from years past, long forgotten. Clara gasped. It was enough to cover her rent for the month. She felt her knees weaken as she whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you." Soon after, opportunities began to appear. A friend recommended her for a new position at work, one with higher pay and greater ease. Strangers offered unexpected kindness. A neighbor brought her groceries. A relative sent her a small gift. It was as though the very fabric of life had begun to rearrange itself in her favor. Clara realized the breakthrough had not come from harder labor, but from a shift in alignment. Her words had turned her boat with the current, and now the river itself carried her forward. And then came the moment that changed her life entirely. One night, as she sat in her candlelight ritual, a phrase came to her unbidden, as if whispered by an unseen voice. "Decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." She froze, breathless. She opened her Bible, and there it was in the book of Job, a confirmation of what Florence had taught and what Solomon had embodied. Clara understood the lost prayer was not about begging, but decreeing. It was not about pleading with heaven, but standing in authority as a child of God. That night, with tears streaming down her face, she declared boldly, "I decree abundance. I decree peace. I decree that wealth flows to me in divine order. I decree that I am aligned with the law of prosperity." The candle flame flickered higher, and Clara felt a presence in the room, a peace so profound, a certainty so strong, that she knew in her bones something had shifted forever. From that day on, Clara's life blossomed. Money flowed in steady streams. Her debts dissolved. Her heart, once heavy with fear, became light with gratitude. She no longer begged heaven to hear her. She spoke as one who knew heaven had already answered. Her testimony became a beacon to others. Friends who had once pitied her now asked, "What changed? How did you turn your life around?" And Clara would smile, her eyes shining, and answer, "I rediscovered the prayer. I aligned with divine law." And everything followed. Beloved soul, Clara's story is not just hers, it is yours. For what happened to her can happen to you. The law that lifted her will lift you. The prayer that transformed her will transform you. All it requires is the courage to believe, the faith to declare, and the willingness to align. And so I ask you now, does Clara's story stir something within you? Does it awaken a longing, a recognition, a whisper that says, "This too is possible for me"? If so, do not let the moment pass. Anchor your intention now. Speak it, claim it, decree it, CTA. If Clara's story stirs something within you, type, I claim it in the comments to anchor your intention. Long before Florence Scovel Shinn walked the streets of New York, long before Clara lit her candle in trembling faith, there was Solomon the king, to whom the world still bows when it speaks of wisdom and wealth. His story is not a tale of fortune by chance. It is the demonstration of divine authority embodied in a man who knew how to align heaven and earth through the spoken word. Solomon did not ask for riches, nor did he beg for power. When God appeared to him in a dream and offered him the desire of his heart, Solomon asked only for wisdom, wisdom to govern rightly, wisdom to discern truth, wisdom to walk in alignment with divine law. And because he sought wisdom above all else, God gave him more than he asked. Riches, honor, peace, and prosperity flowed into his life until nations marveled at his reign. Why? Because Solomon understood authority. Authority is not arrogance, nor is it the brittle confidence of human pride. Authority is alignment. It is the recognition that man, as a child of God, is not a beggar in the courts of heaven, but an heir. And heirs do not plead for scraps, they claim their inheritance. This is why Solomon's prayer was unlike the prayers of many. His words were not cries of desperation, but decrees of dominion. He spoke as one who knew the laws of heaven. Respond to faith, not fear. To command, not complaint. Think of it this way: when you stand before a locked door, you do not pound your fists against it until your hands bleed. You use a key, and when the key turns, the door opens, not because the door pities you, but because the law of the lock responds to the law of the key. So it is with abundance. Wealth and peace are not granted by chance. They are unlocked by divine law. Solomon's prayer was the key, the sacred password that turned the tumblers of heaven and released supply into the earth. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the power of the word. Solomon lived it, and now, beloved soul, you are being invited to rediscover it. Pause and reflect. How often have you prayed as a beggar, asking timidly for what already belongs to you? How often have you spoken words of lack when you were called to decree abundance? How often have you forgotten that you carry the same divine authority? Solomon carried the authority to command wealth and peace into being. The lost prayer works because it is not just words, it is alignment with divine law. When you speak it, you step into the current of Solomon's wisdom, Florence's clarity, and the eternal truth that has never ceased flowing. Let these affirmations rise within you. Now I decree abundance. I command wealth. I align with divine law. I walk in Solomon's wisdom and Florence's faith. I am heir, not beggar. I am channel, not obstruction. I am dominion, not despair. Can you feel it? The words carry weight. They do not drift like feathers. They land like anchors. They do not scatter like dust. They plant like seeds. This is the authority of Solomon, the power to speak, and it is so. Beloved, the prayer works because it shifts you from pleading to proclaiming, from misalignment to flow, from fear to faith. When Solomon spoke, wealth obeyed. When Florence declared, manifestation followed. When Clara decreed, her life transformed. And when you speak in the same authority, the same law responds. The world may tell you that wealth is scarce, that peace is rare, that abundance is reserved for the few. But the word says otherwise. The word says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The fullness, not a fraction, not a remnant, but the overflowing abundance of all that is. This is why the Prayer of Solomon is not a superstition or ritual, it is spiritual technology. It is the precise alignment of the tongue with divine law. And once spoken in faith, it cannot return void. You may wonder, can it truly be this simple? Can words really carry such power? To that I answer, does not the seed, though small, carry the blueprint of the oak? Does not the spark, though brief, carry the force of the flame? So too does the word, though spoken in a breath, carry the force of creation. And now the invitation is before you. Will you speak as Solomon spoke? Will you claim the authority of the air and not the fear of the beggar? Will you take the key that has been hidden in plain sight and turn it in the lock of your destiny? For the treasure is not lost. The prayer is not gone. It has only been hidden, waiting for you. So rise now in faith. Place your hand over your heart. Let your tongue align with divine law and declare with authority, I decree abundance. I command wealth. I align with divine law. I rediscover the lost prayer, and I live in its flow. For as Solomon ruled with wisdom, so shall you live in abundance. As Florence declared with clarity, so shall you manifest with ease. As Clara aligned and received, so shall your life blossom into testimony. This is why the prayer works. This is why your life will change. For you, beloved soul, are heir to the kingdom, and the kingdom is abundant. Beloved soul, let us pause at the threshold of one of the most misunderstood powers in human life, prayer. For centuries, humanity has been taught to approach prayer as a beggar approaches a king, pleading, hoping, waiting, often trembling in fear that their request may be denied. Yet the truth is far more radiant, far more empowering, and far more precise than this posture of begging would suggest. Prayer is not a desperate cry in the night. Prayer is spiritual technology, a system as exact as mathematics, as powerful as electricity, and as personal as the beating of your own heart. To pray is to program the unseen field of intelligence that governs all creation. It is to set into motion the spiritual algorithm that shapes reality. Consider the computer in your hand or the phone in your pocket. It responds not to your emotional begging, but to your clear commands. You may weep before it plead with it, or even shake it in frustration, but it will only obey when you press the right keys, when you know the code, when you understand the language it recognizes. Prayer functions in precisely the same way. The universe is not moved by fear-filled pleading. It is moved by clarity, authority, and alignment. Let me offer you a vivid contrast. There was once a woman, let us call her Ruth. Ruth prayed daily for her needs, but her words were soaked in fear. Please God, do not let me lose my job. Please God, don't let me run out of money. Please God, don't let them forget me. Though she prayed often, her prayer was like static in the air, a frequency of desperation. Each word she spoke was laced with the energy of lack, and so she drew to herself situations that confirmed her fear, late checks, sudden expenses, and the constant anxiety of instability. Now let us turn to another story, this time a man, Samuel. Samuel had also known hardship, yet when he prayed, he spoke not from fear, but from command. His words were not pleas, but declarations. I give thanks that divine substance now flows through me. I call forth perfect opportunities perfectly timed. I declare that doors open before me with ease. Samuel did not beg, he programmed. He set the algorithm in motion with clarity and faith. And what unfolded in his life? Unexpected job offers timely assistance and a growing sense of peace. The difference between Ruth and Samuel was not their worthiness, for both were equally beloved of the infinite. The difference was their understanding of prayer. One prayed in fear, and fear became her harvest. The other prayed in authority, and authority opened the gates of abundance. This is the law. Prayer is not hoping, prayer is programming. When you kneel in fear, you are broadcasting a frequency that says, I am powerless, I am uncertain, I am begging. But when you stand in spiritual authority, you are declaring, I am a child of the infinite, and I command in alignment with divine law. Do you feel the difference in your body? Take a breath. Imagine yourself whispering, please, please, don't let me fail. Notice the tightening in your chest, the shrinking in your energy. Now shift. Declare aloud, I am guided, I am supplied, I am victorious. Feel the expansion, the surge of strength, the alignment of your spine, as if heaven itself stood behind you. That is the posture of true prayer. Pause here with me. Close your eyes if you wish. Speak these words softly. I pray with authority. I do not beg. I declare. I do not hope. I know. My prayer is law in motion. This is the spiritual technology of prayer. It is not about convincing a reluctant God to intervene. It is about speaking the word that aligns heaven and earth. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded us, your word is your wand. When you pray, you are not knocking at a closed door. You are activating the spiritual mechanism that opens it. Just as a code unlocks a safe, the right word spoken in authority unlocks the treasure already stored for you in the invisible. Think of prayer as you would a gardener planting seeds. If the gardener goes into the soil and cries, please, please let something grow, but plants nothing, the earth will yield only emptiness. But if the gardener plants with clarity waters, with intention, and tends the soil with expectation, the harvest is inevitable. Your words are those seeds. Prayer is the act of planting them with certainty that they will grow. Let us affirm together, I do not pray in fear. I program the field of life with authority. My words are seeds, and my harvest is sure. I pray as a master, not as a beggar. I am one with the infinite, and my prayer is always answered. This is the transformation at the very heart of our journey. Prayer is not about getting God's attention. It is about awakening your own authority. So I ask you, beloved, does this shift resonate with you? If it does, if you feel the power of prayer as spiritual technology, comment the words, I pray with authority. Beloved listener, we now step into the radiant chamber of understanding, where words are revealed not merely as symbols, but as living frequencies, as vibrations that shape the very fabric of reality. Imagine for a moment that the universe is a vast orchestra. Every star, every tree, every drop of rain sings its note into the symphony of creation. And you too are part of this symphony. But here lies the mystery. Your instrument is your word. When you speak, you strike a note in the unseen, and the whole orchestra of life shifts to harmonize with your tone. Florence Scovel Shinn declared, your word is your wand. What does a wand do? It directs energy. It focuses invisible power into visible manifestation. So it is with your speech. Every word you speak is a vibration sent into the ethers, a sound wave that ripples through the unseen substance of the universe. Let us illustrate this with sound itself. I invite you now to perform a small but powerful experiment. Whisper softly the word fear. Notice the way your body reacts, the tightening of the stomach, the slight contraction of your shoulders, the dimming of your energy. Even whispered, the vibration of fear carries a heavy binding frequency. Now take a breath and whisper the word love. Let it roll gently from your lips. Love. Feel the difference. The body expands, the heart opens, the atmosphere softens. The word itself radiates a frequency that alters your being in an instant. This is not imagination. This is law. Words vibrate and vibration creates. The ancient mystics knew this, the prophets knew this, and Florence Scovel, in her practical wisdom, restored this truth for our daily use. Picture your words as tuning forks. Strike the fork of lack, and your life will resonate with shortage. Strike the fork of abundance, and your life will resound with prosperity. Strike the fork of health, and your body aligns with vitality. This is why idle words are dangerous. Every careless complaint, every sarcastic remark, every habitual declaration of I can't, or I'm tired, or I'm broke, is a tuning fork struck against the great instrument of life. And life, faithful as ever, responds in harmony. Pause here with me. Say aloud, I am strong. Then notice. Something inside you lifts. Now say aloud, I am weak. Feel the energy drop. This is the evidence of the law. Words vibrate, and they command reality. Florence told us that words are not empty sounds, they are containers of power. When you say, I am, you are invoking the very name of the divine. Whatever follows those two words becomes your decree. Say, I am wealthy, and the universe rushes to align with your statement. Say, I am poor, and it equally aligns, for the law is impartial. The power does not discriminate. It simply amplifies what you declare. Let us then train our speech, for the tongue is a wand, and the spell it casts creates the life we live. Here is an affirmation for you. My words vibrate with abundance. My words are notes of harmony. My words summon prosperity, peace, and perfect health. I speak with power, and the universe obeys. Pause. Breathe. Speak these words again, but with authority. My words vibrate with abundance. My words are notes of harmony. My words summon prosperity, peace, and perfect health. I speak with power, and the universe obeys. Do you feel the shift? The more you speak with awareness, the more the vibration of your words becomes your dwelling place. Consider a story. There was a young man named David. David grew up hearing his family say, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford it. People like us never get ahead. He absorbed these words as truth, and his life followed their vibration. He struggled, always one step behind, never quite able to rise above the pattern. One day, David encountered the teachings of Florence Scovel Shinn. He began to replace his habitual words. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, he declared, divine supply is flowing to me now. Instead of, I never get ahead, he affirmed, I move forward with ease and success. At first, it felt strange, as if he were speaking lies. But he persisted, knowing that words are not mirrors of the present, but creators of the future. Within months, doors opened, unexpected opportunities, a raise at work, supportive mentors appearing. His outer life began to match the new frequency he had tuned himself to. This is the mystery, and the mastery words tune your reality. So let us now take up our wand of power. Repeat with me, I strike the note of abundance. I strike the note of health. I strike the note of love. I strike the note of peace. And my world harmonizes with my words. Pause. Breathe. Feel the resonance. Beloved, if you truly felt the vibration shift within you as you spoke these affirmations, then share this teaching. Let your words ripple beyond your own life, into the lives of those you love. Beloved, now that we have seen prayer as spiritual technology and words as the vibrating wand of power, we are ready to enter a deeper chamber of wisdom. Here, I will place into your hands a 7-step ritual that the ancients guarded, a ritual Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings illuminate, and one that I will now restore for your daily use. This ritual I call the Lost Prayer, not because it is truly lost, but because humanity forgot it. In place of clarity, we adopted confusion. In place of authority, we adopted fear. In place of ritual alignment, we adopted random hoping. But the time of forgetting is over. You are ready now to remember. This 7-step ritual is not superstition, it is precision. Each step is a movement of alignment, a stroke of the spiritual brush painting the masterpiece of your destiny. And when practiced for 9 days, the number of spiritual completion, it seals the subconscious and awakens the demonstration. Let us walk together, step by step. Step 1. Clarity. Imagine standing before a great endless ocean. If you hold out a thimble, the ocean can only give you a thimbleful. If you extend a bucket, it gives you a bucketful. If you bring a pipeline, the ocean rushes to fill it. The ocean is limitless, but what you receive depends on the clarity of your vessel. So it is with prayer. Many fail because their words are vague. I just want things to be better. Better how? Better in health. Better in finances. Better in peace of mind. The law responds not to fog, but to focus. Take time to name your desire clearly. If you wish for supply, state the exact need. If you wish for healing, name the wholeness you seek. If you long for love, describe the qualities of that love. This clarity sharpens your wand of power. Pause now and speak, I am clear. I know what I desire. I name it, I claim it, and I hold it before the divine with precision. Step 2. Visualization. Once clarity is established, you must see the thing as done. Not as a hope, not as a maybe, but as a completed reality. The mind is the projector of images, and the subconscious accepts every picture you impress upon it. Visualize not the absence of your desire, but the presence of it. See yourself living in the new home, feeling the keys in your hand. See yourself smiling with radiant health, walking with strength and freedom. See your bank account filled, your business thriving, your relationships harmonious. Visualization is the rehearsal of manifestation. Athletes know this. They train their minds by seeing the victory before the event. So must you. Say with me, I see it as done. I hold the image steady. I walk by sight of the unseen, not by sight of the seen. Step 3. Writing. There is power in putting pen to paper. Writing crystallizes thought. What drifts in the mind becomes anchored when written down. The act of writing is itself a prayer, for it takes the invisible and gives it form. Write your desire as if it were already true. Write, I give thanks that I now live in perfect health. I give thanks that my income flows freely and abundantly. I give thanks for the love that surrounds me. Place your writing somewhere sacred, a journal, a folded paper on your altar, a note in your pocket. Let the written word remind you daily of your decree. Affirm my words written are words sealed. What I write, I call forth. What I inscribe, I manifest. Step 4. Embodiment. Words and pictures are powerful, but the true key is embodiment. You must live as if it is already true. This is the faith that Florence Scovel Shinn spoke of, the boldness to act as though the answer is already here. If you are praying for supply, walk with the posture of someone who is well supplied. If you are praying for healing, speak and move with the confidence of health. If you are praying for love, radiate the qualities of love now. Embodiment is acting as if, but not pretending. It is aligning yourself with the vibration of the answered prayer. The subconscious cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced, so embodiment instructs it. This is who I am now. Say with me, I embody my answered prayer. I walk in it, I breathe in it, I live in it now. Step 5, obedience. Here lies a step often overlooked. Once you pray, visualize right, and embody life will begin to whisper to you. Signs will appear, nudges will come, instructions will surface. This is the divine guiding you toward the demonstration. Obedience means you say yes to the guidance. Perhaps it is a small act, calling someone, applying for a position, releasing an old habit, forgiving an old wound. Obedience is the bridge between prayer and manifestation. Those who pray but ignore the signs remain stuck. Those who obey the signs move into alignment. Declare with me, I am obedient to divine guidance. I hear, I trust, I follow. The signs are clear, and I say yes. Step 6. Gratitude. Gratitude is not an afterthought. Gratitude is the magnetism that seals the prayer. To give thanks before receiving is to stand in faith. Gratitude opens the floodgates, for it says, I already know it is mine. Say thank you aloud. Whisper it often. Write it daily. Thank you for my supply. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my peace. Thank you for my answered prayer. Gratitude keeps the vibration high and the channel open. Repeat with me, thank you, thank you, thank you. My prayer is answered. My good is here. My abundance is complete. Step 7. Repetition. Finally, repetition seals the ritual. For 9 days, practice these steps. 9 is the number of spiritual completion, the cycle of fulfillment. Each day, repeat the clarity, the visualization, the writing, the embodiment, the obedience, the gratitude. The subconscious learns through repetition, and by the 9th day, the pattern is fixed. Do not worry if outer evidence lags behind. The inner completion is the true work, and the outer world must eventually follow. Say, I repeat until complete. I persist until it manifests. My prayer is sealed in cycles of 9. Beloved, this is the 7-step ritual of the lost prayer. It is not a superstition, it is a law. Each step aligns you more deeply with divine substance until your life itself becomes the prayer and every breath becomes the answer. Now pause with me. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself walking through these 7 steps. See yourself naming your desire, visualizing writing it down, embodying it, obeying the guidance, giving thanks, repeating with joy. See the 9 days pass like 9 pearls on a necklace, each one shining with completion. Feel the prayer sealing itself within your subconscious. And when you are ready, affirm with me, I begin today. I walk the 7 steps. I live the 9 days. I embody the lost prayer, and nothing shall be withheld from me. Yes, beloved, if you are ready to begin this 9-day journey, to step into the alignment of clarity, visualization, writing, embodiment, obedience, gratitude, and repetition, then declare it boldly. For today, the lost prayer is found again, and it lives in you. Beloved, now that you have learned to speak your prayer with authority, to tune your words as frequencies, and to practice the 7-step ritual of the lost prayer, we come to a vital key: obedience to signs and divine downloads. For what use is it to pray, to declare, to visualize, if when the universe answers, you turn away saying, that cannot be the way? The truth is simple, though many resist it. Your answered prayer always arrives clothed in guidance. Rarely does it fall as lightning from the sky. More often, it comes as a gentle nudge, a persistent thought, a chance meeting a number, repeating a door opening unexpectedly. These are the breadcrumbs of the divine, leading you to the treasure already prepared for you. The story of Clara. Let me tell you the story of Clara. For months, Clara had prayed for financial release. She was faithful with her affirmations, diligent with her gratitude. Yet she remained in the same place, frustrated and questioning. Then something curious happened. Clara began to see repeating numbers 111, 444, 777 on receipts clocks, even on passing license plates. At first, she dismissed them, but they grew so insistent that she could no longer ignore them. Around the same time, a friend invited her to attend a workshop on starting an online business. Clara hesitated. It seemed small, even irrelevant compared to the size of her prayer. But the signs pressed upon her so finally, she obeyed. That single yes became the turning point. The workshop opened a door to new skills, new partnerships, and new income streams. Within 6 months, Clara had replaced her old salary and more. The signs were not random. They were divine breadcrumbs. By obedience, she followed them into abundance. Signs as the language of spirit, beloved spirit, speaks in symbols, synchronicities, and serendipities. Dreams that repeat. Songs that play at the perfect moment. A stranger's words, echoing the very thing you prayed. The subconscious is trained through these signs, and when you heed them, you confirm to the universe, I am listening. I am ready. I trust. To ignore the signs is to say, I do not believe the prayer is answered. To obey them is to step into alignment with the divine choreography of your life. Divine downloads beyond outer signs. There are also inner downloads. You know the feeling, a sudden idea, a spark of intuition, a knowing that drops into your mind without effort. These downloads are not daydreams. They are instructions. They are the language of spirit whispered directly into your consciousness. Perhaps the download says, write that book, or call that person, or release that resentment. The download is often simple, but its obedience is mighty. Florence Scovel Shinn taught intuition is a spiritual faculty and does not explain, but simply points the way. You will not always know why the download matters. You may not see how it connects to your prayer, but obedience is faith in action. The danger of delay. When the download comes, when the sign appears, move. Do not wait for the whole map. Do not stall until you understand every detail. The divine rarely gives step 10 until you obey step 1. A man once prayed for a financial miracle. He kept hearing the nudge, clear your desk, organize your papers. It seemed trivial, so he delayed. Months passed, and nothing changed. Finally, weary of waiting, he obeyed. Within hours of clearing his desk, he uncovered a forgotten document that led to a refund worth thousands of dollars. The miracle had been waiting, but his delay delayed it. Beloved, obedience accelerates. Delay postpones. Signs as compass points. Think of the signs as a compass. Alone, one point tells little, but when you follow one and then another and then another, you begin to see the direction clearly. The path opens step by step, and you walk into your answered prayer with grace. You may be asking now, but how do I know if it is a true sign or just coincidence? The answer is in the resonance. A true sign feels charged with meaning. It stirs your spirit. It repeats itself. It pulls at your attention in ways you cannot dismiss. Coincidence fades. Divine signs insist. A practice for signs. Here is a practice each morning. Declare aloud, I am attuned to divine guidance. I see the signs. I hear the downloads. I obey with joy. Then throughout the day, watch with expectancy. Carry a small notebook or use your phone to record synchronicities. By writing them down, you honor them. By obeying them, you activate them. And when you act, give thanks. Thank you, Spirit, for guiding me. Thank you for the signs that light my path. Thank you that I walk in obedience and abundance. Emotional layering. Notice the progression within you. First comes wonder, the amazement that signs appear at all. Then comes trust, the knowing that they are not random but intentional. Finally comes action, the courage to say yes. Wonder opens the heart. Trust steadies the mind. Action seals the manifestation. Beloved, your prayer is not floating unanswered. The signs are already around you, whispering, guiding, pointing. All that is required is your obedience. Pause now. Close your eyes. Think of a time you experienced a sign, a repeating number, a word spoken at the right moment, a coincidence too precise to be chance. Recall how it felt. Recall what it led to. Now affirm with me, I walk in signs and wonders. I obey divine downloads. I am guided. I am aligned. I am supplied. Yes, beloved, that is the posture of one who manifests. Beloved, we have walked far together through the chambers of spiritual law. You have seen prayer as technology words, as vibrational wands, ritual, as a 7-step alignment, and obedience as the bridge to demonstration. Now we arrive at the crown jewel of manifestation, the power of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely polite manners, nor is it a shallow thank you spoken with the lips, but not the heart. Gratitude is a frequency, a magnetic current, a spiritual amplifier. It multiplies whatever it touches. Where gratitude is absent, blessings wither unnoticed. Where gratitude is present, blessings multiply and overflow. Gratitude before the harvest. Imagine a farmer sowing seed. Would he sit by the field in despair, moaning that nothing has yet grown? Or would he rise each day in thanksgiving, knowing the laws of nature are certain that the harvest is inevitable? So too with the spiritual harvest. Gratitude is the farmer's faith that the invisible is already working. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote, "Gratitude is the law of increase, and complaint is the law of decrease." When you give thanks before you see, you accelerate the seeing. When you complain while waiting, you choke the growth. Pause with me now. Speak aloud. Thank you for my answered prayer. Thank you for supply overflowing. Thank you for health restored. Thank you for love surrounding me. Do you feel the softening, the rising, the expansion? That is the magnetic pull of gratitude. A case study, gratitude for bills. Paid. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Jonathan who faced a stack of unpaid bills. Fear gripped him each time he opened his mailbox. One day, he decided to change his approach. Instead of shrinking in dread, he held each bill in his hands and said, "Thank you. Thank you that this bill is already paid. Thank you that divine substance meets every need." At first it felt foolish, but Jonathan persisted, giving thanks for each bill as though the payment were already supplied. Within weeks, unexpected checks arrived, an old debt repaid, a bonus from work, a friend gifting him money without knowing his situation. Soon, every bill was cleared. Jonathan learned that gratitude magnetizes supply. Gratitude in the midst of delay. Gratitude is not only for when things go smoothly. Its greatest power shines in moments of delay. To give thanks while you wait is to declare, "I trust the timing." I know my blessing is on the way. This frequency holds you steady and prevents the weeds of doubt from taking root. Say with me now, I give thanks in waiting. I give thanks in receiving. I give thanks in completion. My gratitude never ends. Sensory gratitude. Gratitude is most powerful when you embody it with all your senses. Close your eyes and imagine your answered prayer. Feel it, see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, then give thanks as though it is already here. If you pray for a new home, imagine walking through its doors, smelling the fresh paint, hearing laughter in its rooms, tasting the meal prepared in its kitchen. Then say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." If you pray for health, imagine yourself running, dancing, laughing with strength. Hear your own laughter, feel the energy in your body. Then say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." This sensory gratitude convinces the subconscious that the prayer is fulfilled and the outer world must follow. The triple thank you. Florence often used repetition in affirmations, so let us repeat together with power. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The first thank you aligns the mind. The second thank you aligns the heart. The third thank you aligns the body. 3 layers, 1 vibration. Gratitude saturates the whole being. The magnetism of gratitude. Why is gratitude magnetic? Because it shifts you from lack to abundance. Lack says, I don't have. Gratitude says, I already have. Lack repels. Gratitude attracts. When you give thanks, you harmonize with the law of plenty. You declare that you are already in possession of the thing desired, and the law must bring more of it into your experience. Gratitude is not passive, it is active magnetism. Daily gratitude ritual. Here is a practice you may adopt each morning. Before rising, place your hand over your heart and speak 3 gratitudes. 1 for what you already see, 1 for what is invisible but on the way, and 1 for what you cannot yet imagine but is divinely appointed. For example, thank you for my health today. Thank you for the financial supply arriving now. Thank you for the surprises of goodness that await me. Do this daily, and your life will unfold in a spiral of blessings. Gratitude transforms relationships. Gratitude is not only for things, it is also for people. When you give thanks for others, you magnetize harmony. Speak gratitude over your spouse, your children, your colleagues, even those who challenge you. For what you bless increases, and what you curse diminishes. Say aloud, I bless and give thanks for every soul in my life. I see them as channels of divine good. I release complaint and I embrace gratitude. Notice how your heart softens, how tension lifts. Gratitude heals relationships as surely as it heals finances and health. Gratitude as a lifestyle. Beloved, gratitude is not a moment, it is a lifestyle. It is a way of walking through the world with eyes open to blessings. The sunrise, the breath in your lungs, the water in your glass, each one is a miracle. And as you honor them, greater miracles gather at your door. Gratitude is the key that keeps the gate of abundance open. Pause here. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Whisper softly, thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel it resonate in your chest. Let it echo into the unseen. Know that every repetition sends waves of magnetism into your field, drawing abundance closer, faster, more joyfully. Gratitude is the amplifier. Gratitude is the seal. Gratitude is the law of increase. Beloved soul, let us pause and look at the picture within our minds. Imagine this scene vividly outside a grand and radiant palace whose gates gleam with gold. and whose halls resound with the music of eternal joy, sits a weary beggar. His clothes are tattered, his head bowed low, and his hands tremble as they stretch outward for a crumb, a coin, a morsel of mercy. His eyes dart with fear, wondering if he is worthy even of scraps. He feels the sting of rejection, the weight of shame, and the ache of endless lack. But now, shift your gaze. Within those very palace walls sits the heir of the kingdom. Clothed in robes of brilliance, seated at the banquet table, the heir does not beg for all that is within the palace already belongs to them. They do not grasp, they do not plead, they receive, they partake, they dwell in ease. The heir knows, I belong here. This is my place. My inheritance is not earned by toil or by begging, it is mine by right of divine decree. Do you see the contrast, my friend? One outside the gates looking in with despair, one within the gates feasting in dominion. And here is the truth I speak over you. You are not the beggar. You are the heir. So many walk through life as if crouching at the gate of heaven, whispering desperate prayers, pleading for crumbs of favor. They say, if only God will have mercy on me, perhaps I may survive another day. This is the posture of begging. And yet the Christ said, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Not a crumb, not a fraction, the kingdom. Affirm with me now, I am not outside begging. I am within receiving. I am not beneath the table, I am seated at it. I am heir to divine abundance. Let those words sink deep into your spirit. For every time you have felt lack, every moment of shame, every season of grasping, release them now. The old beggar's cloak is falling from your shoulders. The gates swing wide. The King himself beckons you inward, saying, child, you were never meant to stand outside. Come and take your place. Take a breath and see yourself walking through those gates. The light touches your face. The music rises to greet you. You sit at the table, and as you reach forth your hand, the feast is before you, not earned but given, not withheld but overflowing. And now repeat with me, letting the rhythm wash over you. I am heir, not beggar. I am child, not stranger. I am inside, not outside. I am receiving, not pleading. I live in dominion, not despair. The power of these words is this: as you affirm, you shift your inner posture. You no longer approach God as a distant monarch reluctant to give. You approach as the beloved heir of a Father who delights to pour out abundance. And when the posture changes, the demonstration follows. For life mirrors your expectation, and expectation mirrors your identity. Pause now, beloved, and feel it. How many years have you in subtle ways acted like the beggar, afraid to ask too boldly, ashamed to dream too greatly, expecting little? And how does it feel in this moment to take on the robe of heirship, to walk into the palace as your rightful dwelling? Let the emotion of this shift rise up, perhaps tears, perhaps laughter, perhaps a surge of holy confidence. This is your turning point. Say with me once more, I will not beg. I will not crawl. I will not shrink. I stand in my divine inheritance. I reign as heir to all good here and now. And so it is. This, beloved, is the crossing point from shame to empowerment, from lack to dominion. Do not return to the posture of begging, for that is not your true identity. Lift your head, straighten your spine. Walk as one who carries the authority of heaven. For even now the Spirit whispers, all that I have is thine. And if you feel this truth stirring within you, claim it boldly. Declare it in your voice, write it with your hand, stamp it upon your soul. I am heir to abundance. Type it, speak it, claim it, for the act of claiming seals the word. Yes, today you walk no longer as beggar. Today you rise in dominion. Beloved one, now that you have taken your place as heir, no longer a beggar, but one seated at the table of divine plenty, we must speak of rhythm. For dominion is not a moment, it is a way of life. Authority is not claimed once and then forgotten. It is practiced, embodied, renewed with every sunrise, and sealed with every sunset. Imagine your days framed as a scroll of light. Each morning, as the first rays of dawn stretch across the horizon, your words rise with them. Each evening, as the golden glow fades into night, your gratitude becomes the closing seal. Morning and night, the two pillars that uphold your dwelling. Here lies the secret. What you speak at dawn sets the tone of the day, and what you release at dusk secures your rest and peace. The lost prayer. This decree of abundance is not a chant for crisis alone. It is the breath of your soul. It is your spiritual oxygen. Just as you would not go a day without breathing, you cannot walk in dominion without the rhythm of word and faith. Take a breath with me now. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Do you feel how breath centers you? Just so the prayer centers your spirit. It draws you back into alignment, back into flow, back into remembrance. I am air. I am supplied. I am overflowing. Morning decree. Let us begin with the morning. The sun rises, the world awakens, and you stand at the threshold of possibility. Before the world's noise clamors for your attention, your voice goes forth. You speak, and the unseen realm bends to listen. Say with me today, I awaken in divine favor. Today I walk in abundance prepared for me. Today I live as heir, not beggar, as child, not stranger. Every step I take is ordered, every word I speak is blessed, for this is the day the Lord has made, and I rejoice and am glad in it. Pause. Feel the freshness of this decree. Like the morning sun warms the earth, your words warm your path. You are not stumbling into the day. No, you are decreeing the day. You are not hoping for scraps, you are opening to supply. Imagine now the hours ahead of you, meetings, tasks, errands, conversations. Visualize them surrounded in light, covered by the decree you have spoken. See yourself moving with calm assurance, with ease, with divine rhythm. The morning decree has set the vibration, and the day cannot help but harmonize with it. Affirm again, my morning word is law. My decree goes before me. The supply I need already awaits me. Evening, gratitude. Now let us turn to the evening. The sunset shadows lengthen, and you prepare to lay down the weight of the day. Here too, the prayer flows not as petition, but as gratitude. For gratitude is the song that seals abundance. Say with me, as the night descends, I give thanks. I thank the source that has guided my steps, the supply that has met my needs, the love that has surrounded me. I release every burden, I forgive every shadow, and I rest as heir of peace, knowing that tomorrow's supply is already secured. Let these words settle into you like a gentle lullaby. Feel the peace that comes when you no longer strive, no longer grasp, no longer fear. Sleep is not escape, it is renewal. And as you rest, the unseen continues to work, arranging, aligning, multiplying. Just as you trust the air to sustain your breath through the night, so trust divine law to sustain your provision. Gratitude is the key that locks the door against fear, worry, and lack. Gratitude is the melody that carries you into rest. The rhythm of practice. Morning decree. Evening gratitude. Like the rising and setting of the sun, let this rhythm shape your days. And here is the beauty: it requires no striving, no endless hours. Only a few moments of intention spoken with authority. A breath in the morning, a breath at night. Yet these breaths carry eternity within them. Some may say, but will such simple practice change my life? And I answer with boldness, yes, for the simple things are the most powerful. Breathing is simple, yet it sustains your body. Water is simple, yet it nourishes the earth. So too is the prayer, simple in form, infinite in effect. When practiced daily, it rewires your expectation. It teaches your mind to expect abundance, your heart to lean on trust, your spirit to walk in dominion. And as expectation changes, demonstration follows. For as Florence Scovel Shinn so often said, the game of life is a game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us swiftly with astounding accuracy. Beloved, what you decree in the morning returns as supply. What you give thanks for in the evening multiplies. Word is seed, and the daily rhythm is the soil. Speak consistently, and you shall reap abundantly. 9 days of alignment. I invite you now into a sacred challenge. 9 days, 9 cycles of sunrise and sunset of faithful practice. Each morning, decree abundance. Each evening, give thanks. Write it, speak it, live it. Watch as your awareness shifts, as signs of provision appear, as opportunities unfold. 9 days may seem small, yet in the spirit it is potent. For 9 is the number of completion, the birthing of new cycles. By 9 days, you will feel the rhythm etched into your being. By 9 days, you will know the power of daily alignment. Say with me, I commit to 9 days of decree and gratitude. I live in rhythm with divine law. I breathe the prayer as my life breathes air. A life framed in light. Picture your life a year from now. If this rhythm is kept not only 9 days, but months, seasons, years. Your mornings filled with expectation. Your nights filled with peace. Your days framed in light. What would shift? What would heal? What doors would open? And here is the wonder: it is not distant. It begins today with 1 decree at sunrise and 1 thanksgiving at sunset. The palace of abundance is not entered by running. It is entered step by step, word by word, day by day. And as you practice, you will feel the flow. Life ceases to be a struggle against the tide. Instead, you are carried by the current. The prayer is the oar in your hand, guiding you gently yet powerfully down the river of divine supply. Repeat with me as we seal this truth: my words frame my day. My gratitude seals my night. I live in rhythm. I live in flow. I breathe abundance as I breathe air. I am air. I am supplied. I am overflowing. So let it be, and so it is. Beloved soul, now that you are walking in rhythm, rising with decree, and resting with gratitude, let us go deeper into understanding. For practice is powerful, yet when the mind comprehends the principle beneath the practice, your faith grows unshakable. So here, this abundance is not a matter of chance, nor favoritism, nor luck. It is a matter of law. Just as gravity pulls without partiality, just as the sun shines without discrimination, so too does spiritual law govern the flow of abundance. Gravity does not choose favorites. It draws the leaf and the stone alike. The law of demonstration does not choose favorites. It responds to the word, the thought, the vibration, whether spoken by saint or skeptic. Law is law, and when you understand this, the fog of confusion lifts. You no longer wonder why them and not me. You no longer tremble in uncertainty, hoping for random favor. Instead, you stand tall, knowing I align with the law, and the law fulfills itself in me. The neutrality of law. Picture two people standing at the edge of a cliff. One steps forward in ignorance, not realizing the law of gravity is at work, and they fall. The other steps forward with wisdom, equipped with wings of a glider, and they soar. The law is the same in both cases. One aligns and the law lifts. One resists and the law punishes. So it is with abundance. The law does not say, I like this one better, I will bless them. The law does not say, this one has prayed louder, so I will give more. No law is law. It fulfills itself without bias, without hesitation, without error. Your words are seeds, and the soil of law receives them impartially. Speak fear, and fear grows. Speak lack, and lack multiplies. Speak abundance, and abundance manifests. The soil does not argue, it simply brings forth according to what is sown. Affirm with me now, law is law. I align with divine law. What I decree must come to pass. I sow abundance, therefore I reap abundance. 2 lives, 2 outcomes. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine 2 souls both standing at the threshold of possibility. The first wakes in worry. Their words drip with complaint. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm always behind. I can't afford what I need. They sigh, they strain, they doubt. And the law, neutral and unwavering, takes those words as command. It shapes their day accordingly. Obstacles appear, bills pile, opportunities slip away. Not as punishment, but as fulfillment of the seed they themselves have sown. The second wakes in decree. Their first words are power. This is the day of my abundance. Supply comes to me with ease. All that I need is already provided. They walk with expectancy. They smile with trust. They act with confidence. And the law, neutral and unwavering, takes those words as command. Doors open, favor flows, resources arrive. Not as reward, but as fulfillment of the seed they themselves have sown. The difference, not luck, not favoritism, law. Say with me, law is law. The law fulfills my words. I speak abundance, therefore I live abundance. The comfort of law. There is great comfort in this truth, for if abundance depended on chance, you could never rest secure. If prosperity depended on favoritism, you might never feel worthy. But because abundance is law, you can stand in assurance. Do you worry that you are not good enough? Law does not concern itself with merit. Do you fear that your past disqualifies you? Law does not concern itself with history. It concerns itself only with alignment with decree, with vibration. And here is the wonder, you can choose alignment at any moment. You can choose new words this very day. You can shift the seed you sow, and the harvest must follow. Affirm again, I am not at the mercy of chance. I am not at the whim of luck. I live by divine law, and the law fulfills my decree. Repetition and reassurance. Hear me now, law is law. Say it again, for repetition engraves truth upon the mind. Law is law. Law is law. Law is law. Just as you do not doubt gravity when you drop a stone, do not doubt spiritual law when you drop a word. The stone will fall. The word will manifest. And when doubt whispers, return to the affirmation, law is law. I sow abundance, I reap abundance. It cannot fail. Walking in rational faith. Some imagine that faith is blind, but true faith is rational when rooted in law. To believe in demonstration is no more irrational than believing in sunrise. To expect abundance is no more foolish than expecting gravity to hold you to the earth. This is why the Christ said, according to your faith, be it unto you. Not because faith earns, but because faith aligns. Faith is simply trust in the unfailing nature of law. So let your faith rise not in random fortune, but in immutable principle. Say with me once more, I live in divine law. My words return to me multiplied. Law is law, and it fulfills itself in me. Closing the circle. Now pause, breathe, let this truth settle. How does it feel to know that you are not a victim of chance? How does it feel to know you are not at the mercy of others' choices, nor the fickleness of fortune? You live in law, and law, when aligned with guarantees, result. From this day forth, walk in assurance. No more pleading for luck. No more wondering if you are chosen. You are chosen because you choose alignment. You are favored because you sow the seed of favor. You prosper because you speak prosperity. And as surely as gravity holds you, divine law fulfills you. So it is, and so it shall ever be. Beloved, theory becomes power when it is lived. Principles become fire when they touch flesh and bone, heart and circumstance. And so, I bring before you not mere concepts, but living testimonies, echoes of lives, transformed by the law of abundance, by the prayer of decree, by the choice to walk as heir instead of beggar. For when you hear these stories, you will see yourself within them. Their breakthroughs whisper to your spirit, if it happened for them, it can happen for me. The story of Miriam, from debt to overflow. Miriam was a mother of 3 weary from years of struggle. Bills piled on her table like mountains she could not climb. Her prayers had been desperate cries whispered late at night when fear gnawed at her chest. She begged for relief, begged for scraps, begged for mere survival. One evening, she heard the truth. You are not a beggar at the gate, you are heir within the palace. These words pierced her heart. Could it be true? Could she stop pleading and start declaring? She began with trembling lips. I am heir. I am provided for. I live in overflow. Day after day, she repeated it. Morning decree, evening gratitude. The bills were still there, the numbers still low, yet her spirit shifted. She walked lighter. She spoke bolder. She expected supply. Within weeks, opportunities she had long forgotten reappeared, a friend offering collaboration, a client returning a door opening where none had been. Step by step, debt dissolved, and in its place came freedom. Today, Miriam not only pays her bills with ease, she teaches her children to decree abundance as naturally as breathing. She says with a radiant smile, I no longer beg God for crumbs. I feast daily at his table. The story of Daniel, from anxiety to peace. Daniel was a young man bound by anxiety. His mind was a storm of what-ifs. What if I fail? What if I lose? What if I never become enough? His prayers were frantic bargains. Please, God, fix this one thing, and then I'll believe. But law does not move by bargaining. Law moves by decree. When Daniel encountered the teaching of daily rhythm, something in him stirred. He said, if I can trust gravity without fear, can I not trust divine law in the same way? So he began. Each morning, though fear still clung to him, he spoke. I live in divine peace. I am guided. I am held. I am safe. Each evening, though his thoughts still raced, he whispered gratitude. Thank you for sustaining me. Thank you for order. Thank you for rest. At first, nothing outward shifted, but inside a quiet strength began to rise. The storms in his mind calmed. His breath slowed. His nights brought rest instead of panic. And in time, opportunities that once slipped through his shaking hands began to stay. His relationships deepened. His work flourished. Daniel's testimony is this. I learned that peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of alignment. I no longer live in anxiety's prison. I live in the freedom of divine trust. The story of Ruth, from silence to authority. Ruth had been taught from childhood that she was small, voiceless, undeserving. Every attempt to step forward was met with resistance from her own mind. Who are you to speak? Who are you to ask? Who are you to believe for more? But the prayer taught her otherwise. It gave her words. It gave her voice. For the first time, she stood in front of her mirror and declared aloud, "I am not outside. I am inside. I am not voiceless. I am air. I am supplied." The echo of her own voice startled her, but it also awakened her. Day by day, her declarations grew stronger, and as her words grew, her life expanded. She applied for opportunities she once feared. She negotiated with confidence she never imagined. She spoke with authority in rooms that once silenced her. Her testimony rings clear. I discovered that abundance begins with daring to speak. When I claimed my place as heir, the world responded to my voice. The story of Thomas, from scarcity to generosity. Thomas was diligent, disciplined, careful, but always fearful. He saved every penny not out of wisdom, but out of terror. His heart whispered constantly, "What if it runs out? What if there is not enough?" Yet one day the words struck him, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And he realized to live as heir is not to hoard, but to trust the endless supply. So he began small. He gave when he once would have withheld. He sowed when he once would have clung. Each gift was a declaration, I trust the law of return. I trust the flow of supply, and the law, impartial as ever, fulfilled his decree. Opportunities opened, resources multiplied, provision returned multiplied. Soon, Thomas was not merely meeting his needs. He was funding others' dreams, supporting causes, blessing friends. His testimony is this: I no longer live in the fear of running out. I live in the joy of overflowing. The power of shared testimony. Beloved, do you feel the thread running through these stories? Miriam, Daniel, Ruth, Thomas, all different yet all transformed by the same law. They ceased begging. They began declaring. They aligned with truth, and the law fulfilled itself in them. And now your story is waiting to be written. Perhaps you are Miriam today, weighed by debt. Perhaps you are Daniel wrestling with anxiety. Perhaps you are Ruth silenced by fear. Perhaps you are Thomas bound by scarcity. Wherever you stand, know this: the law does not play favorites. The same law that lifted them will lift you. Affirm with me their testimony is my prophecy. What has happened for them can happen for me. I align with divine law and I walk in transformation. Pause and feel this. Let hope rise within you. Let anticipation quicken your spirit. For testimony is not only a story, it is a mirror showing you what is possible. And when your testimony comes, and it will speak it, share it. For your words may awaken another soul, just as theirs have awakened you. Beloved heir of abundance, we have walked together through remembrance and revelation. You have seen the contrast between begging and dominion. You have learned to frame your days with decree and gratitude. You have grasped the certainty of law, and you have witnessed testimonies of transformation. Now we stand at the threshold of activation. This is the moment where the teaching becomes living fire in your spirit, where words cease to be theory and become decree, where the palace doors swing wide and you step fully, irrevocably into your inheritance. Take a breath. Feel the weight of this moment. For what we are about to declare is no small thing. This is the sealing. This is the claiming. This is the final decree that aligns you forever with the rhythm of divine abundance. Entering the sacred space. Close your eyes if you can, See before you once again the palace of abundance. Its gates gleam with gold, its halls resound with music, its banquet table stretches endlessly with provision. See yourself standing outside for the final time, the old beggar's cloak upon your shoulders. Feel its weight, fear, shame, lack, struggle. Now hear the voice within. This is not your garment. Cast it off. And so you do. The cloak falls to the ground, dissolving into nothingness. You straighten your spine. You lift your head. You step forward. The gates swing wide, not because you force them, but because they recognize your authority. You enter. The light touches your face. Angels rejoice. The king smiles and says, "Welcome home, child. All that I have is yours." The final activation. Now repeat after me slowly, firmly, with holy authority. I am no longer outside begging. I am within receiving. I am heir, not stranger. I am child, not beggar. The kingdom is mine, and I walk in dominion. Again, louder with conviction. I am no longer outside begging. I am within receiving. I am heir, not stranger. I am child, not beggar. The kingdom is mine, and I walk in dominion. One more time, let it resound through your being. I am no longer outside begging. I am within receiving. I am heir, not stranger. I am child, not beggar. The kingdom is mine, and I walk in dominion. The floodgates of heaven. Now see above you the floodgates of heaven. They creak open, and a river of light begins to pour forth. It flows down upon you, drenching you in abundance. Every cell of your being glows with supply. Your hands tingle with new opportunities. Your heart swells with divine peace. Your mind clears with holy wisdom. Say with me, the floodgates are open. The light is pouring. I receive without limit. I overflow without end. Pause and let the image settle. The floodgates do not close. They remain forever open, for the source does not ration supply. The source delights in giving. The lost prayer of Solomon. And now, beloved, we speak the ancient words. The prayer of Solomon, long hidden, now remembered, now declared. Speak with reverence, yet with boldness. Speak as heir, not as beggar. Speak with authority, for your words are law. Divine source, infinite supply. You're my shepherd, I shall not want. All that is mine flows to me now. I walk in wisdom, I live in abundance, I dwell in peace, I overflow in joy. What I decree is established, for law is law, and I am aligned. I receive, I rejoice, I radiate. It is done. It is sealed. It is mine. Feel the vibration of those words. Let them echo in your bones, ripple in your spirit, resound in your atmosphere. You are not hoping, they are reality. You are not pleading, they are fulfilled. Sealing with repetition. Now we seal it with repetition, for the subconscious is impressed by rhythm. Declare with me in a rising cadence, I am heir to abundance. I am heir to abundance. I am heir to abundance. Stronger now, I live in divine supply. I live in divine supply. I live in divine supply. One final crescendo. It is done. It is done. It is done. The joy of overflow. Beloved, do you feel the shift? The heaviness has lifted. The cloak of shame has burned away. You stand clothed in radiance, crowned in authority, overflowing with divine good. This is not imagination, it is activation. This is not wish, it is law. Rejoice now. Let joy rise in you like laughter that cannot be contained. For joy is the sound of abundance fulfilled. Joy is the celebration of law demonstrated. Say with me, smiling, if you can, I rejoice in my abundance. I laugh in my overflow. I celebrate my inheritance. For the kingdom is mine now and forever. Walking forward. From this day forth, Do not return to the posture of begging. It no longer belongs to you. Walk in dominion, speak with authority, frame your mornings with decree, seal your nights with gratitude. Trust the law. Share your testimony and live daily in the joy of overflow. The world awaits the sound of your abundance. For when you prosper, others are lifted. When you overflow, rivers flow into dry places. When you shine, others awaken to their own light. Beloved heir, your journey has brought you here, to the palace, to the table, to the floodgates. Walk boldly now. Feast freely now. Reign joyfully now. The closing decree. Let us speak one final decree together, sealing all that has been spoken. I walk in divine authority. I live in divine overflow. I am heir, I am supplied, I am abundant. My words frame my world. My gratitude multiplies my harvest. My faith aligns with law. I am the child of the infinite, and I reign in dominion here and now. It is done. It is sealed. It is forever. Breathe deeply. Smile. Lift your hands if you will. This is the closing, the sealing, the activation complete.